I still remember how strange the house sounded after my husband died. 42 years of shared routines disappeared overnight. The ticking clock in the hallway suddenly seemed louder than our conversations had ever been. I thought grief would bring my son and me closer. Instead, it revealed a distance I hadn't realized had been growing for years. 3 days after the funeral, we gathered in the dining room to discuss practical matters. Bills, insurance, funeral expenses. I hadn't even sorted through my husband's sweaters. My son leaned back in his chair, arms folded, speaking with a confidence that felt borrowed. "Mom," he said, almost impatiently, "don't even dream of touching Dad's $42 million estate." His words landed harder than I expected. Before I could answer, his wife gave me a thin smile. "It's ours now," she said quietly, as though she were correcting someone who hadn't understood the rules. I looked at both of them. Not because of the money, because I couldn't recognize the people sitting across from me. My husband had spent a lifetime building his company, long nights, missed holidays, risks that kept us awake more than once. He had always said wealth was meant to protect a family, never divide one. Apparently, those conversations hadn't reached everyone. I wanted to argue. Instead, I simply nodded. "There will be a reading of the will," I said. My son shrugged. "Fine." His certainty unsettled me more than his words. Over the next week, relatives called with condolences. Friends asked whether I was managing. No one knew about that conversation except the three of us. I replayed it constantly. Had I raised him to believe I was only temporary in his father's life? Had comfort slowly replaced gratitude? The questions hurt more than his accusation. When the day arrived, we entered the lawyer's office in silence. The conference room felt almost clinical. A polished table, closed blinds, a pitcher of water nobody touched. The attorney greeted each of us politely before opening a thick folder. He began with familiar language: debts, charitable gifts, business instructions. My son sat perfectly still, almost relaxed. His wife occasionally exchanged small, confident glances with him, then the attorney paused. "There is an additional statement your husband requested be read in full." The room became noticeably quieter. He adjusted his glasses. "To my wife," he read, "thank you for standing beside me before there was success, during every sacrifice, and after every disappointment. Everything I built rests on the foundation we created together." I lowered my eyes. For a moment I could almost hear my husband's voice. The attorney continued. "Because wealth can influence judgment after loss, I have structured my estate to ensure my wife remains financially secure for the rest of her life. The family trust becomes fully administered under these conditions. No beneficiary may alter, accelerate, or interfere with those protections." My son shifted in his chair. The confidence disappeared from his face. The attorney wasn't finished. He explained that the estate had been placed into a carefully designed trust years earlier. My husband had anticipated that emotions could cloud decisions after his death. The assets were protected. I would receive lifetime financial security and decision-making authority within the trust's terms. Other beneficiaries would inherit according to the plan only when those conditions had been fulfilled. It wasn't unexpected to the lawyer, it was simply the legal reality. No one argued, no one could. My daughter-in-law stared at the table. My son finally spoke. "I didn't know," the lawyer answered gently. "Your father intended everyone to understand this today. There was no humiliation, no shouting, no dramatic triumph. Only the quiet weight of assumptions collapsing under facts." As we walked out of the building, my son slowed beside me. "I'm sorry," he said, barely above a whisper. I believed he regretted what he had said. Whether he truly understood why it was wrong, I couldn't yet tell. Grief doesn't end because a document settles an estate. Neither does trust return because someone apologizes. That evening, I returned to the same quiet house. The clock still ticked. My husband was still gone. The money changed nothing about that, but he had left me one final gift, not $42 million, but the certainty that he had seen me, valued me, and protected me even after he was gone. The inheritance secured my future. His faith in me restored something far more difficult to replace.